You can, I just wanted to let you know.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I'm recording now.
So
Okay,
when you start the meeting, I'll have something to talk about.
but let's just start the meeting and then hopefully John will catch up with us in the next few minutes. And then you can just, if it's really important, then you can tell John.
Okay.
So I'll bring the meeting to order at 6:02 p.m. in the evening.
Okay.
Go ahead, Mr. McFeetris.
I talked to Rodney about the road crew, and he said they'd started mowing roadsides, and they're still ditching here and there, and they're doing some grading. He's not hitting it too hard because the roads are so dry, but he said it's supposed to rain some this week, probably, but he said they've been around everything once and they're like 3/4 of the way around again on grading. Said the machinery been all working good, and that's about all he had.
Well, good job.
That's good news. I haven't heard from Rodney in like the past week, which is always a good sign.
Yeah.
And did he
Yeah.
get all of those class 4 signs put up?
Oh, I didn't ask him if he got them all done. I got mine up, so that's all I care about.
Okay. All right, I guess that's the road foreman's report. That's pretty simple.
Yeah. Yeah. He sounded pretty good with it. So,
Okay.
I can give you an office update. I heard from Mike Howe
Sure.
yeah.
on the agenda, but we're waiting for Kathleen Gent. The Mike has been building the counters from home mostly. He installed mine this week. It looks so nice. The countertop he used is beautiful. And
Granite?
Sorry,
Granite?
no, it's wood. And I talked to Judy about I was just wondering about the glass because my counter's all set up, but the glass isn't in. And she thought that the glass should come in by the end of this week. And so I tentatively put in Brenda's emergency update today that we are hoping to open next week, the town office. But like,
Oh, cool. Good.
yeah.
Good.
All right, and so that's the update.
Pretty much, yeah. I guess I realized I already told you that, Gary.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
So does that mean you got to start working again, Julian?
I've been working.
Oh.
Um,
I guess I misunderstood.
Hi, Kathleen.
Hello.
Yes, I will be. I've definitely been a little more flexy with my hours, but I've been getting everything I need to get done. So, but I'll be moving back to regular hours. I may shift my schedule a little bit. I might take this opportunity to like alter my hours a tad, but yes.
Cool.
Yeah.
All right, so that seems to be a good update there. How about let's just move to Kathleen and see what's happening there.
Great. Well, thank you very much for inviting me to your meeting tonight. I do want to talk about our household hazardous waste permanent facility, but I also want to talk about a few other things if we have time.
Sure.
First, let's start with the household hazardous waste facility. And as you may know, CVSWMD has been looking to do a year-round household hazardous waste facility for some years. And there certainly needs to be such a facility in central Vermont because right now we have seasonal events, but we do not have a place that people can bring household hazardous waste between the months of October to March or early April. So that is a challenge, especially with the state laws in place, Act 148, and the state plan for solid waste that have requirements that indicate that we should have that kind of facility in our district. So we were able to get a $500,000 grant from the state of Vermont this spring, Agency of Natural Resources. In addition, our board has committed $594,000 from our reserves, which is, we believe, almost enough to get a facility in place. We expect to do a little more grant writing, but our board approved us moving forward with the project. Our first step is going to be to look to buy land or an existing building. Hello, John. Kathleen Gent from CVSWMD. Good to see you again.
There we go. I thought you become road foreman.
No,
Not yet, right?
not yet. You never know. We're talking about the year-round household hazardous waste facility, and saying that we do have funding in place for most of it, the large portion of it, and our board has authorized staff to begin looking for a property, whether it's raw land or a property with structures that would work for our purposes. And we're looking in the Barre, Montpelier, Berlin, East Montpelier area, because that's where our population and business base are located. We are hoping that we will be opening the facility by spring 2022. So that gives us a couple years to work with that. And we look forward to continuing to get input from towns about this project. So I invite you to give me your ideas tonight, or as we move forward with the project, I'll check in with you. But certainly, anytime you have questions or ideas, pass them my way for sure. So that's what I wanted to talk about, this facility where we are. I also wanted to talk about the HHW event that we held on Saturday in Tunbridge. That is seasonal events, and we really appreciate being able to come to Tunbridge every year. We had fewer numbers than last year. Last year was a banner year. This year we had more like 36, 37 cars come through. And we did have COVID-19 precautions in place. And your transfer station has one vehicle at a time right now. So that was perhaps a factor, I don't know, in folks coming or not coming. But we were, at one point, we did not think we'd be able to have the event because of COVID-19. So everything, fortunately, turned around, and we were able to get the message out to folks from primarily Tunbridge and Chelsea. One thing that happened, those of you who were around on Saturday know that pretty good rainstorm came through about 12:40, and because of the topography, there was like a little river that went right to where the HHW hauler had their setup. So it got a little wet. Fortunately, they had most of their materials already in the truck, but it just made us think, well, would that be something the town would ever consider us having the event in another location? And we can talk to you about that next spring or next winter when we're planning again. But and it's never happened before, that deluge of rain. But where we were located is like the low point in that parcel, so it did get a little wet. So I don't know if anybody has any thoughts about that. Even if we do have a permanent facility, we do plan to continue the event in Tunbridge because of the distance that you have to Barium, Montpelier area, assuming that's where our facility ends up.
Kathleen,
Yeah.
how would this permanent site look different and feel different than the ARC, the ARC, say at the Old Times Argus building?
At the ARC, we cannot accept any hazardous waste there. So while we do take many materials, including paint, we cannot take household hazardous waste. So that right there that's going to fill a big gap in terms of our services.
So
Go ahead.
what's the difference between things like batteries and paint and household hazardous waste?
Yeah, that's a great question. Household hazardous waste spans a range of products, from auto care to lawn care, so the pesticides, oil for your vehicles or cleaning materials, paint thinner, household products, that anything that has a danger logo or anything that poison, any of that would be considered household hazardous waste. So most paint is fine for us to take at the ARC, but for instance, auto paint we can't take at the ARC. There are certain paints that are considered household hazardous waste. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, so things like if I change my oil and I had some old oil, I could bring it to this new site, but I couldn't bring it to ARC, for example.
Correct.
Okay, great. And at the present, you have to wait a whole year or go to another HHW pickup?
That's right. So the event on Saturday in Tunbridge was the first collection event of the season for us, and we have 4 more.
Okay.
You're either finding it somewhere else in our district, or you wait. You can go to Chittenden Solid Waste, although with COVID-19, their setups have changed too. They are still taking out of district. So our ideal is to have a place for in-district residents and businesses. Right now, businesses can also come to our seasonal events, but we have a whole procedure for them to be able to come, and they have to come before residents come. So it's not particularly convenient for businesses to bring their materials to the events.
Would the pricing be similar to what it was in Tunbridge at this permanent?
Probably. We're still working on the pricing. We're a couple of years out, but it's probably going to be similar. Yeah.
Okay, great.
I did want to just mention that the ARC had been closed for a couple months with COVID-19. In mid-May, the ARC reopened, although we are only taking 5 materials there right now, including paint, batteries, bulbs, computers and TV electronics, and food scraps. We plan to open the ARC fully at the end of June or July 1st is the date that we're shooting to have the ARC reopen. having said that, there are certain materials that we're not going to be accepting. Any personal care products that would involve our staff having to touch those materials after people drop them off. Because of COVID-19, we really don't think that's safe for our staff to do. So there are about 17 products that we're not going to be taking anymore, and we're going to be updating our website with the list of what we are taking. But we feel that that's the right thing to do. There are also some markets that have closed. There's different small businesses where we've sent things either don't exist at this point or have scaled back considerably. So we will, again, post when we're reopening and what materials people can bring on our website. And that is cvswmd.org. We've also, our main office is closed to the public, but we're still staffing it and can accommodate any issues or needs that people have. We expect that we'll open by appointment only in the near future. And then we've for years have offered a number of seminars and school classroom activities. All of that has been shifted to online. And so you can take classes on home composting basics, doing your recycling right, a special program on avoiding hazardous materials in your home. And all those you can see the dates right on our website. I also wanted to just mention that the ban on food scraps, which there's been a lot of discussion about whether that should or should not actually happen, is scheduled to go into effect on July 1st. So the state ban on food scraps in landfills will be happening. There could be other kinds of legislation that makes it through in the next couple of weeks, but we don't expect any more attempts to try to push back the date for that landfill ban for food scraps to happen. Maybe you know more than I, John, but that's what I've been tracking at least.
That's what I've
I did want to
heard.
let you. Sorry?
No, it's just, that's what I've heard. And then also the single-use plastic bags are going away too.
That's right. And apparently that passed just today in the House. And I think or the Senate. In any event, that's moving forward, perhaps with a few changes and a few additions. I wanted to let you know that our board has voted to reduce the per capita assessment for all our member towns for this coming year, so FY21 that starts July 1st. The per capita assessment was $1 per person. Now it's going to be 50 cents per person for this fiscal year coming up. And the board recognizes that towns may be facing some financial challenges this year. So we're in a position where we could reduce the per capita just again for this year only. That the board made some cuts to certain line items related to grants. So the grants that we offer, there will be fewer of those this coming year. So it does offset this one-time shift and reduction for the per capita. So I wanted to let you know about that. I'll be sending a letter probably next week. You'll get that. And we are hoping sometime that we can get a representative from Tunbridge on our board of supervisors. If you want, I'd be happy to send you maybe some language that could go in a front porch forum posting. Just see if someone might be interested. We know that it is quite a distance, and respect that it's hard to get volunteers for all the different positions that you have for town government. So as long as we can keep communicating, this seems workable. But if we did have someone on the board, that would be great.
Kathleen, you could send that language to me and I'm happy to post it a couple times, probably on Front Porch Forum.
Great, I'll do that, Jillian. Thank you. And wanted to just let you know, because I did notice on Saturday and understand from talking with folks from the state that the electronics that you have stored or that are stored at the transfer station in that open shed are a problem. They're not, first of all, the transfer station isn't permitted for the storage of electronics. So really can't collect electronics at that site. There are other places you can bring those. And for instance, the ARC, we could work with you to get all those items that are now in that shed. We could get them brought up to the ARC, and the key is that you just can't continue to have those stored there. Also, if you wanted to, you could weatherproof the structure, get the permit that you might need from the state. But did want to let you know that the state gave us a call about that, and that you might be hearing from them. And we'll help in whatever way we can with our services. So that was.
Does Royalton Bethel transfer station take those electronics still?
I don't know if they do. They're not in our district,
Okay.
so I'm not sure if they do.
Gary, didn't we send over a dump truck load one time? We kind of cleaned out that shed.
A few years ago, yes. That's what I'm remembering. I think you might have worked with our staff on the ARC on that.
And
Yeah,
as far as I know, we're not accepting electronics. I think people just leave them there when no one's looking.
Exactly. So we'll, if you want, be glad for folks to help you with that. So that was all I had for to discuss, unless you had something else.
I just wondered what are the member towns? What's their share going to be of this new permanent site? I know you sent over some of your funding, but I didn't know if each town was going to contribute towards the building of it too.
Towns will not have to contribute to the building of it.
Great.
Is definitely our goal, is to be able to fund this through our own reserves that we've been building up just for this purpose during the past several years, or through grants. We don't look to do any bonding or look to towns for an infusion for the facility. We definitely will be going back to the dollar per capita. And over time, we're hoping that we can manage the expenses within our current budget. That's the goal.
Fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's very informative.
And Jillian has my contact information if you want to follow up on any of those things that we've discussed today. Well, have a good rest of your meeting.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Kathleen.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. What next, madam?
Becky's supposed to join.
Oh, right.
at 6:30. Did she send the orders and warrants to you guys?
Yeah,
You did.
Okay, she just didn't CC me, so I didn't see them. That's
Mike,
good.
did you look at them, Mike?
Yeah,
How'd they look? I
yeah.
didn't see
They
them.
look good to me. I had a question on a couple of them, but I dug a little deeper and I found out what it was. So, I guess I'd accept them as written and have Gary sign them.
All right, John, would you like to second that?
Sure, I second that. I didn't know it was a motion.
I think it
I
was.
made a motion.
Yeah, anyway, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
An odd thing I noticed, and maybe there's nothing to it, but when I was signing the orders, I was going through the electricity bills for different, the town buildings and stuff, and the rec area had a bill of, I think it was $37 or something like that. And I always turn the bill over to see how much we're using this year compared to last year. And they had like no usage from January through into May or something like that, or April last year. And this year they had like $37. And so I don't know what's going on over there, if they left something plugged in for the winter or what. And I was going to ask Matt, but I haven't got to it yet. But interesting.
I don't know. I think we talked about briefly there once, but I was thinking we all ought to go through the budget and the VLCT lawyer said that they passed a law where we can decrease our budget without having a town meeting. Decrease the one that was voted on in March, without having a meeting. And so I thought maybe we ought to browse through and get some ideas what we might want to do. And I think maybe that's what Becky's going to talk to us about too. But I think if we can cut stuff back, it might save us in the end.
Yep, I think you got a good idea there. And I went through the balance sheet that Becky sent along, and I didn't catch anything that was just glaringly obvious, but it looks like we're in pretty good shape for this fiscal year.
Right. I think we are. I think we just, if we can see something, we can cut back. I think once again, the school budget's going to be the big expense, but if we can save a couple bucks, maybe we better do it,
Yep.
Mike, can I clarify? If we were going to increase the budget, we'd have to have a town meeting, but decreasing.
Well, I think before this thing was passed, if you did anything to the budget, you'd have to have a town meeting.
Oh. So you're saying it's COVID?
Right.
Okay.
Right. If we decided to cut back, select board wage, we don't have to, we can do that. We don't have to have a special meeting to say that we changed it.
But because it's special circumstances, that would not be the case if there wasn't a pandemic happening.
Right.
Okay.
Right. That's correct.
Okay.
So I don't think we should do it, but Mike, we could, for example, call off all the raises that we voted through.
We could do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, let's not do that.
No, I don't want to do that. But, if we can cut back on, the culvert fund or, I don't know. I think I have to go down through it and just look at stuff. Unfortunately, I don't think we're too far out of whack most of the time anyways, but if somebody thought we could save a few dollars on something, maybe we ought to do it. VLCT also told me, and I don't think it's a big amount of money anyways, but if we have to borrow money to run the town, the state will pay for the interest on the loan. But generally I know in Brookfield we used to borrow money every year, and we paid very small interest, and it's probably even less now. I bet it ain't 1%, which is still a lot of money, but it's not scary. But the state's going to pick that up if we have to borrow money.
Okay. Good research, Mike. Hello, Becky.
Hi.
How are things?
Things are good, as far
All
as I
right.
know.
What do you have to offer us tonight?
Well, I'm not sure what you guys wanted to completely discuss. I do have a couple things to ask you. Auditors want to know if we want another audit. And I think if we do anything, we should get a review, or we can skip a year, being that next year's sort of up in the air.
Did we have a real audit this year, or was it just a review?
We had a real audit this year.
Right.
Then don't you think we ought to have a review next year, or you think we ought to skip it completely?
Well, so I personally would like to keep the trend of, audit and then review 2 years and then do an audit. But I know that you guys are looking for places to save money, and we can skip a year and then audit the following year. Can't remember how much a
I was going
review.
to say, what was it? What did the review cost us? I don't remember now.
I don't know if they actually ended up doing a full review or if they ended up just helping us switch over to a different system.
I can look at my there might be a ballpark figure somewhere in my email, so I'll check.
It was about half, wasn't it? It was something like 14 for a full audit and 7 or something like
Yeah, I
that.
feel like it was 8,000 for some reason.
I was going to say 7 sticks in my mind.
And a full audit was how much? The first, not the nutty audits, but the one we liked with this group was how much?
I can't remember that off the top
Or
of my head.
the group that we like to work with was how much?
Hold on, let me see what we've spent so far this year.
But that's a good point. I think that's the sort of thing that it's somewhat essential, but it may not have to be essential to this upcoming fiscal year.
Right.
So those are the kind of things to identify, I think, and say, like, let's just do a full audit in fiscal 21, 22. Just take a pause for a year.
I'm okay with that. I don't think they found anything major. They cleaned up stuff, but they didn't, have a major finding or anything that they were upset about. So I think that's a good place to start.
Have you got a review or anything from them, Becky?
So I have the audit in draft, and right before all of this hit, I was gonna create a response. Right now, I have been just trying to keep up with what I normally do, never mind all of the extra things. So I'm gonna try to put it on the list to get done before the end of the year, but we're quickly getting to the end of the year, and there's a lot to do before that end happens. So
I found the review number. Sorry, do you want me to tell you?
Yeah,
It was 8,000 to 88,500
for the review or the audit?
for a review.
Okay.
And that
How
was
much-
like an email. That was just like, it wasn't a official estimate.
How much did we budget for a full audit this year?
15,000. No. Did we put in the budget? Uh, we put another 15,000 for the audit. So
Is
that's
the-
place save money.
Becky and Gary and Mike, do you have any sort of sense of like a 10% figure, Gary, you mentioned earlier, or, should we be shooting to say, or at least postpone, 50 to 100,000 from this upcoming fiscal year? Is there a sort of ballpark number that you guys would like to shoot for?
So I haven't heard a whole lot from people. People haven't been calling me stressing. But I don't have a good sense for what people are thinking. I don't know if they're thinking that they won't have the money, or if people have already pretty much put aside most of that money. I don't know. I haven't really had a lot of phone calls yet. And I also think it's not so much our budget that's going to make a very big difference in this. Like, we can cut $100,000 out, but I don't think our budget is the bigger of the two that is going to make the big difference.
Yeah, even if we cut 100,000 out, that's chump change in the
It
big
really
picture.
is. Our budget, together, it's what, almost, I think we're just over, a little bit over $1 million, right? We're like $1.4 million or something like that. And then the school has a $6 million budget. So really, what we change in our budget isn't gonna
Change anybody's tax bill.
enough. If the school, I know they have their new budget, and I honestly haven't really looked at it. I don't know if they're gonna make huge changes. I don't even know how. Jillian, do you know how much they dropped it?
I haven't even looked either.
So all I know is that if this budget doesn't pass, they can only have 87% of their current budget for the following year. So
86%.
yeah, 87% of their current budget is what they can carry over to the next year, which would be really hard for them. But I don't know what their new budget looks like. I'll be honest. I haven't looked.
There's a mailer coming out this week, I think they sent out, that has the updated budget on it.
Yeah, I was kind of waiting for the simplified view rather than trying to read through the ballot and be like, what's the difference between this and what they've proposed? So yeah, I think they're going to be the bigger, the harder thing. And maybe what we can do to make things easier for people is think about whether we want to charge interest.
Right.
Or how, before we cancel penalty, we kind of have to talk to Joe because he gets to settle. And I think he'd be willing to work with us a little bit. But we could, say that we won't charge interest for 3 months, for anything delinquent.
I think that'd be a good way to start anyway.
Can we get him in to talk to us? And
Yeah.
or have him get his ideas, in a group and so we can hear what he thinks.
Yeah, and I'm sure he'd be willing. We've talked about it a little bit, and I think he's, my biggest fear is that if we say there's no penalty and no interest until January, a lot of people aren't even going to try to
Yeah.
pay until January.
Right.
And that panics me a little bit since we rely on that income. So I think,
And we gotta cough up the school money, right?
Mhm.
Anyways,
yeah, we still have to give the school their money. I think I have 10 days after.
right after.
Yeah, I think actually I have 15 days. By November 15th, I have to have given the school their money.
Right.
And so part of me is like, I'm scared to advertise that we wouldn't charge interest and penalty, because I don't want people to think, oh, well, then I can wait until January.
Keep your money in the bank until January.
Yeah, which, I think for most people, they think that would be a smart idea.
Right.
But yeah, so
Well, maybe we can just do under the table thing, we can talk with Joe and then not say anything and hope everybody pays, and if they don't, maybe we can do a little, work with them then.
that's kind of what I was kind of thinking might be the best way, because I got thinking about it because I don't want to make things hard for people this year, because this has been a rough year for everybody. And so, I was like, what if we don't do that? But then the next thing that hit my head was, if nobody pays until January,
Right.
and I don't even know when tax bills will go out.
We'll be down the bank. I don't know if you heard me. You were just showing up here, but I talked to VLCT and they said, I don't know if it's something that's passed or something they're talking about or what, but they were talking about if we had to borrow money, that the state would pay the interest on, if we couldn't come up with enough and had to go to the bank, the state would pay the interest. But I don't think we pay very big interest anyways.
No, I mean, the school pays something like 2.8
Yeah.
on their anticipation loan. So I don't imagine we would pay more than that. And the bank has already approached me and said, if you need a loan, they would have no problem pushing it right through. We could have the money relatively quickly. So
I hate it when banks say that.
So just saying, they're already anticipating towns needing these things. So I don't know.
I think, even if it's not much, 50 to 100,000 would just show that we're sympathetic to taxpayers too, because they're going to take such a hit at the state level, probably. Anything we can do on our end just to postpone some of these bills would be a good idea.
Yeah, and I pushing it out to January. I mean, we could even propose some sort of, graduated system, nothing for the first month, something in the second month, just to make it a gradual increase. I don't know, just things to think about. I definitely would have to talk to Joe, because his is the bigger cost. That, 8% that he gets, that's the big one. So he'd have to be willing to push that out. And maybe we don't advertise it. Maybe it's part of that, thing that goes through. I don't know. I don't know how to make this easier for people. You guys have got.
How about if we offered a discount if they paid on time?
I thought about this too. The problem with offering a discount is that we risk not being able to raise enough. When when discounts were,
If everybody paid.
yeah. So the other thing about discounts, somebody explained this to me once. When discounts were very popular, it was when interest rates were really high in the bank. So when we would put their money into the bank, we would earn enough interest on that money to cover whatever we didn't
Cover
make
the-
from, their discounts.
If we cut like $100,000 from the budget and simultaneously offered a discount, would the cut in the budget perhaps balance out the discount?
I would have to do some math.
Yeah, because I mean, not everybody, even if the discount, would pay on time.
Yeah, and I mean, it's worth looking at. I am, this year really willing to, think of something to see what we can come up with. I mean, even if it's, $100 off if you pay early, I'll have to look into how that works. I was thinking about this and I have to do the math, because if there's 900 voters, if we offer $100 off, is that $90,000 that we would lose? Am I doing that right? Or is it 9,000?
9,000.
9,000? Because 9,000, I think we could get away with. If we want to just offer, you pay early, you pay $100 less.
Right.
For some people, that might knock out their bill completely.
You probably know generally in like a normal year how many people pay on time. So,
and we have, for the most part, really good taxpayers. They're usually really good on paying on time. There are the normal, late payers. Do we have any sense of what other towns might be doing?
No,
Anybody?
I haven't talked to anybody.
I didn't know if the LCT had any guidance on what they were hearing or what was happening.
Maybe our administrative assistant could look into that.
yeah,
I'll,
sorry, the LCT is putting out a lot of guidance, but I've just been looking at the stuff that's relevant to my job, not so much tax stuff. But I can give them a call or check out they have a really great page of COVID resources. So,
I mean, I can look at that tomorrow too, if
Okay.
that's helpful.
I mean, I can look at it, but I probably can't translate it that well. So it's better if you read it, I think.
Yeah, no, I'll look and see what they have. I mean, I would be interesting to see if other towns are planning discounts or if they're just planning on. I mean, I think honestly, the best thing to do is sort of delay that delinquency.
The only thing I know of that has happened, Brookfield has twice a year payments, and they had one due in April or May, and
Yeah.
they pushed it back. So, no discount or anything. They just give you more months to pay it.
And we could, well, let's say we could break it up that way.
Well, I don't think we can because we only have one payment.
We
You
do.
know, we gotta have our money by the 1st of November.
We
But
do.
they're getting half in May and then half 1st of November, and that's just to carry them through without borrowing money. So if the first one's a little late, they're gonna make it all right, but they're not gonna push back a second payment.
Right. Yeah, so I think we can see, my gut is saying that it's a better idea to sort of, just delay those, but not necessarily advertise it, just send it out if Joe's okay, and definitely not charge interest. I mean, we can look into a discount. I mean, if we don't do the audit, that's pretty much would suck up that. Or we could do a 1%. I don't know. So for some people, 1% is a lot. And for some people, 100 is most of their bill. So I don't know how you go fairly.
Yeah.
You know,
Probably do a percentage to be fair.
but I'm afraid if we do a percentage when we're looking at a year that we might not
Right.
make enough,
Right.
you know,
Right.
it sounds terrible of me, but for the people that can pay, you know, if we give them a 1% discount and we're missing their money against the people that cannot pay,
Right.
we might be, you know, in a difficult place. So my inclination is to offer more sort of a relief after we figure out if you can't pay, we'll delay those fees and things like that.
Okay, well, how about we get some information from Joe, either talk to him or just have him send a note to us, or you talk to him or whatever. And then we can kind of, with maybe some guidance from VLCT or what other towns are doing, we can hatch a plan in the next month or something and go from there.
Yeah, I'm all for that.
And we can kind of browse through the budget and just see if we see anything that we think could, get knocked back without
Right.
making a big problem.
Well, like Becky said, if we don't do an audit, there's
Right.
$14,000 or whatever. So
Right.
it wouldn't take too many of those. It adds up.
Cut the town clerk's wages.
May not like that.
She held up her thumb, I think.
I couldn't tell if it was their thumb or what it was, but
Besides the grader, was there any other big equipment purchase coming up in the next year or two?
Oh,
I think we got a truck of some kind next year, don't we?
I
more than
think
likely.
Is it that stupid ton truck?
that can't be that. That can't be 8 years already. That thing's only, what, 4 years old?
Probably.
Seems like a lifetime.
Wait, hold on. Oh, it doesn't have the year of the Dodge truck. Got rid of the 2009. So 14. 2014. So 21 would be when the 2014 is done, right? 7 years was a truck.
Probably.
7 years.
I think it was 7 years. And that's an expensive truck right there. Although it stayed under budget this year. The
That's a good-
2015 is also-
Right up the end of the year, yeah. So,
and I'll be curious to see where we land after tax season and what kind of deals truck people are trying to get rid of trucks with, because there may be money there, or we might wait a year and say, that's another question for Rod. Can it
Yep.
go another year, or is it
right.
dead in the water and it really needs to be replaced?
Maybe we should probably just ask Rodney what expenses over the next year he's anticipating in general.
Good idea.
Stove on? Yeah. And Becky, if you see anything like the audit that kind of jumps out, that
Yeah.
might work being postponed a year.
I mean, the only other thing that we added in new this year was the disaster relief fund. And we upped gravel quite a bit. And I don't know. I mean, it looks like we haven't spent anywhere close to what we spent even the previous year. So that might be a little bit of savings. I'm always
Right.
hesitant to save on gravel. Gas and diesel, I mean, those dropped a lot. So we haven't even come close to spending that budget.
They weren't really any big, I mean, in this upcoming year, we didn't really plan on any big sort of capital improvements like painting and roofs and things like that. So it's,
I don't think so.
and the
And
greater, the big purchase.
Yeah, and I actually think we're gonna end this year with a tiny bit of a surplus. Too many pages. Depending on what we spend this month, they still have 23,000, and that will obviously go down. Let me see what we're gonna spend in sand. That might eat all of it. No, that'll eat quite a bit of it.
Yeah.
Because they still have 17,000, so that'll be a lot of it. All right, there goes that exciting idea. Yeah, I mean, I can keep looking, but I think for the most part, we tried to be really careful when we were budgeting. So, oh, the other thing we won't have, I don't think the trustees of public funds, I don't think they're going to give us our 15,000. I can ask them again, but I think they wanted to not give anything out.
Yeah, they put a, freeze on all moving of money.
Yeah, so
So will that hit us in other ways too? Like, if they give money to the cemetery commission, for example, then are we going to have to make that up in our budget?
So, and I don't have those numbers, but the cemetery commission has spent so little in the last 3 years that they've got quite a bit extra built up, which is why I also suggested to them this year that when we were looking at all the transfers, that they not ask for as much, because they're, I don't know, they have more than usual. Because they haven't done any cleaning of stones, Green Mountain Monuments, whoever it is that cleans their stones, they haven't cleaned them in a long time, and they aren't getting back to them. So I suggested them to drop what we normally ask for down quite a bit. Yeah, so we dropped them down to 9,000. And
Yeah, they just changed hands or something, and I think hasn't got all squared away yet.
yeah. And then I think I'm just looking for their budget to see what they asked for. I know I write these things, but I can never remember. And they only asked for 3,000 from trustees of public funds. So I think that we'll be in good shape. I don't think they're gonna have a hard time. I don't know why we added donations into theirs.
It doesn't seem very smart to say postpone the disaster relief fund funding for a year, given
Yeah.
what could hit us.
And we could wait until the end of the year to take that out too. You know, if it seems like we have plenty at the end of the year, we can move that over and we can just wait. Unless you guys want to. I still don't think that's gonna change. I don't remember what the list is, but I think pretty much you need $14,000 before you change it by a penny.
Yeah, I think that's what we figured.
I think it's something like $15,000.
Yeah, I think it's around 14.
So that 25,000 is gonna make a penny and a half difference. So, we can also kind of wait and see what happens with the school.
Yeah.
If they've figured out a better plan, hopefully it won't raise theirs so much. And then we can revisit and see if we want to start taking things out.
Okay, well, let's, I guess, move on, but we've got a plan anyway, seems to me.
Yeah.
And keep looking at our budget, talk to Joe, Becky, everybody involved, and then maybe by next meeting we'll have some more information.
Yeah, definitely. I can do all that.
All right, have you got anything else for us?
The audit is the only other thing I think I was thinking about. The only other thing that we might want to consider is that anytime we hire someone new for mowing, who's going to do our mowing? Do we decide that?
Eli Childs.
Eli.
We have a contract with him. Just keeping up to date on having contracts with people. I'm going to try this year to send out updated forms for everybody to get, just so that it's the workman comp policy. They're getting more and more picky about what we have for everybody that we hire to make sure that they're covered so that we don't have to pay extra for people that are working for us. But I think that would just be like J.L. Smith and things like that. And we're done for, it'll just be next year. And just if they would give us their insurance whenever they start working for us, if that can just be a regular thing.
I have Eli's insurance that I guess, do you want to keep it on file, Becky?
Yeah, or if you just collect them and then I can just come in and say, okay, I need everybody's.
Okay.
Whatever's easier for you.
Okay. I can ask Eli to write up a contract. I sort of was like waiting for him to do that because he was so diligent about it in the winter. I assumed he was going to get right on it, but it slipped my mind. So I'll ask him if he can. His bid came in an email, so if I can, I'll ask him to put it into paper form, and then I'll ask you guys to sign it.
That'd be great. And then I can just have that information so that they're not going to charge us more and more for workman's comp. And those are the only things I think I have. I think other than that, things are good.
All right. Well,
I-
thank you very much.
I think we could ask Rodney too, since he knows the highway budget so well, just to make up a draft of what a 10% cut would look like, or a postponed, budget of essentially this budget, but next year. Not that we'll do it, but it would be just good for him to come to us with some of his thoughts.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
it'd be good to have him on board with the whole thing anyway.
Yeah, and he might know where they're, it's hard to predict what storms will happen in the next, 3 months here. But he might know more where we're standing for certain things. So, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll move on to Brenda next, but thank you very much, Becky.
You're welcome. You're welcome. Anytime.
Always informative.
All right. All right, now I got to figure out how to get off this thing.
What's easy?
I can leave. Okay. Bye, guys.
See ya. All right. Let's move on to Brenda. Hello, Brenda.
Hey. Nice day today, huh? So I'm starting to look at, unfortunately, what I'm being tasked with a little bit is thinking about preparing for the second round, they call it. And none of us want to think about that, obviously. We don't want to even imagine that we're going to go there. But in the fall, there are a lot of other towns and states are looking at a possible outbreak later on in the fall, as the weather changes, and to make sure that we're prepared. And I would say for us right now, because the state tends to work as a unit coming in, that we just need to make sure that we're well stocked with masks, gloves, disinfectant. Jillian and I have been talking about just how much. I mean, we can get together a little more, just how much we need to have. But I would say that we have to be independent of the state for, something came back. We're a lot better than we did last time, maybe 6-7 months without thinking we can order anything, so we don't get caught with that. Simon Bradford and I are talking about going back on the school emergency plan, but obviously a lot of things have changed. I've been in touch with the interim principal. He's handed all information to our new principal, and I guess I gotta kind of wait to hear from him. I don't want to push them. They're undergoing a lot of changes. And we just have to be patient, yet another year of school emergency planning. And I just wanted to, let's see. Well, Jillian and I have talked about the FEMA funds, and this is going to be a weird one because this caught the United States, I think, off guard, like all of us. But as you know, we've declared an emergency, and it's going to be under the FEMA funding. So everything we do to the building, the masks, the gloves, anything that's COVID related that we had to do, including IT. I noticed that today, Jillian and her note from Two Rivers, all the IT stuff they're putting under the COVID, that they've had to upgrade their computers, anything like that, they put it under that funding. We've got to come to a minimum of $3,300 to be able to meet it. And then the town would, if we put in for that, the state and the government would pay about 75%, even a little better than that, but the rest of it's going to be on us. But that's not bad. It's not going to be a huge bill for us. It's mostly prepping. We kind of got missed. Ours is just about planning and gloves and stuff like that. And I just want to encourage you folks to let all of our people know that as we get a little more complacent, that when we're around each other, we should be keeping our masks pretty close and put them back on. when we get close to one another. And you all have noticed the out-of-state cars coming up. I know you have. And we know that they're coming up for weekends. They're not following the advice. So we just got to look out. We got to look out for ourselves. We don't want to be part of the outbreak. So that's about all I have. Just catch up on that. And make sure you're I hear you're talking about budget. Probably want to give the town a break. I think the FEMA funding will help. As Jillian knows, it could take, a year or two before they ever catch up to us, paying us. But this is not a huge sum. This is like a flood or road damage. We're talking $50,000 to $100,000. It's gonna be more like 5,000 and under. Anybody got any questions of me?
How
Brenda,
are things going? Oh, go ahead, John.
no, I just wondered about, last week it came up about like the rec field, for example. What's our policy on that? I mean, follow the governor's guidelines, I guess, but also just enforcement too.
I was planning on going down there, but I think I encourage you guys to go down there too. I mean, we're accountable for what happens down there. So I think, it's one thing to tell them, but it's helpful to me if you guys would go to the recycling area and encourage everybody to wear their mask down there.
Brenda, what is consequences if we have a barbecue out back and have 60 people there? I mean, what can we do?
If it was on the rec field?
You can't, no, anywhere.
Oh, I don't think there's really, I don't think the governor's doing anything other than, the worst thing that could happen would be the police would come out and say, we're not recommending you do this. It's unsafe. If it happened on the rec field where they didn't follow guidelines, then we're accountable as a town.
We're responsible, yeah.
Right. That's why I was saying, if people are going to come up here from out of state and stay here for a week or weekends and then go back, and that's all we can do is recommend and watch out for ourselves. And do you guys listen to the governor when he's doing his report?
Try not to.
It's actually pretty interesting. I think he's doing a good job, and he and the physician are doing a good job. They really sum it up. I think they're being very forthright and honest about it. They're very concerned. Every single thing has a theme that we are in a bubble around a lot of states that have serious problems still. And it won't take much. It won't take much to drive here. And all those people around there now know that Vermont's a safe bubble. So, hey, let's go to Vermont and get away. Because I'm sick of it.
Yep. I got nothing more to add. Seems like things are kind of okay right now.
Yeah, I think I just got to get together with Jillian and make sure we feel comfortable that we've stockpiled. Luckily, everything we're looking at is, I think, as Jillian and I have talked about it, it's going to store well. I mean, it could store for years. If we don't use it, it may still be around for another round. The mask and stuff that I got from Massachusetts at the beginning of it had been stored up from the H1N1 years ago. So it's a good thing.
Brenda, I know you asked me to think about how many of all these things that we might need. I would really love your input on those numbers, actually, because I have no concept of like how much is too much or how much is too little, really, which is more important to avoid.
Yeah, bear with me a little bit, Jillian.
Sure.
I've got a meeting with someone from Massachusetts tomorrow about this, and it's Western Mass, but they're still talking numbers that are blowing my, I'm looking at them like, wow, a little town of 1,200 people and they're getting 7,000 masks being stored. It's kind of, catching me back. But at the same time, I have to tell you, as well as the state's been doing a good job on some respects, I'm one of the first ones to kind of rattle them a little bit about what are we doing? What's some guidance for our little towns, and can we do a mass purchase to save money? And they're like, yeah, we need to be thinking about that. So our state's been a little slow picking up on that part. So all I can tell you is that I'll get back to you.
Yeah, sure, that's fine. You had asked me if I could think about it, and I can, but I might not come up with a good answer, I guess.
Well, I don't know how much you have on hand, but we don't want to have just a few bottles. I mean,
Yeah. Right.
We want to.
No, we
pack
definitely
away.
need more than what we have, for
And
sure.
we have to be a little careful. Just a warning to you. Other people that are stockpiled a little bit had to keep it under lock and key
Okay,
and dole it out. You don't hand a box of gloves out to
yeah.
somebody because
I
all
was
of a sudden
also
they're gone.
thinking, I think stockpiling is a really good idea, but if, in the fall, if we get this second wave and it's kind of another stay-at-home order, work from home, don't go out, that type of what was going on in March and April this year, I would be inclined to want to close the office again, even though we're going to have the windows and stuff. So obviously, I think supplies are good to have, but I don't think we need to plan for if everyone's supposed to stay home again, then we shouldn't be doling out lots of masks and sanitizer.
Well, we still would have recycling. We have the road crew.
Absolutely. No, I just wanted to
think
put it
about
out there.
the schools, and I have to think
Yes.
about the fire department.
I just wanted to make a note that that's where I would be standing personally,
Yeah.
if it were to be that severe of a second wave. But I agree that we should stockpile for sure.
Yeah, I'll come back with some numbers.
Okay.
Let you guys know, and we'll put it on our list of goodies. And now's the time to get it on the list, because at least we get some help paying for it.
And I believe that there still is no deadline. FEMA hasn't put, you've got to,
Yeah,
so doesn't seem like at the present moment I know that there's a rush because the second wave's coming, but we don't need to worry about trying to get all our FEMA purchases in the next month or something. We have a little bit of time.
yeah, we just have to probably get them in before anything hits again, so that we're not backed up with the ordering, as you know. As you
Totally.
just said.
And they still are backed up. I mean, I call McGee and they say, yeah, we don't know when we're going to get this back in, but we'll put you on the list. So.
Well, just remember, those like Bar Hill, I think they're willing to try to work with us, because that's like a local whiskey plant that decided to revamp themselves. I mean, these are people up the road. So we might be able to work with them. I didn't get a price from them,
Well,
but I don't know how far.
Lori and I bought some Bar Hill sanitizer back when they were offering it in April or whenever it was, and it was pretty pricey. And I got a farm supply guy that brings stuff to the farm, and I can get, at least at the time, I could get a gallon of hand sanitizer, and it had lanolin in it or something for softening your hands, and it was $20.
Oh, that's a great idea. I like the idea of everybody in Tunbridge having soft hands.
Well, it does help. But anyway, my point is I'd be happy to look into, see if we could get 5 gallons or whatever we think we need at $20 a gallon is a lot better than we paid $63, I think it was, for 4 8-ounce bottles of Bar Hill stuff.
Yeah, and some people have pointed out to me that if we can afford it, the automatic hand sanitizers that go on the wall or on a pedestal are much more efficient, because people aren't touching it. You're just putting a hand under it.
Yeah.
But I guess they're quite a bit more pricey.
I spoke to McGee about those yesterday. Becky and I both would like to have one actually installed outside the town office and inside, right near the desks. Sorry, my dog is whining. What am I trying to say? Oh, McGee said they sell ones made by Purell, and they had a bunch of people waiting for them. They're on back order, and they haven't even heard from Purell in like a month when anything's going to come in. So, but I guess what I'm saying is it's our goal to get some of those installed.
Yeah.
And then you get refill bags rather than bottles, and I bet those are easier to get because households aren't buying bags of hand sanitizer to refill their dispensers, so.
I guess the only reason I'd like to find out is what the price is so we can put all the pricing together as we come up with our plan. But
Okay.
you and I can talk, we can sit down and talk about it. I'll know more after tomorrow,
Sure. Yeah.
so bear with me.
Mhm.
That's all I got, I think. Just, encouraging people to wear masks if they're around other people that are working for the town. Whether it's down at the recycling center and the people at the recreation. I'll go down there and take a look. And John, do you go down there when they're playing ball?
On the way to the dump sometimes, or, I mean, that's probably it. Or you can see, if you're going up 110, what's going on too. I mean, I noticed they were practicing, and then I think I heard that there were going to be some games coming up pretty soon, and I didn't know how that was going to be worked out.
Well, I think it's something, like you've always said, no alcohol down there, and it's been pretty filled with alcohol.
Yeah.
So, I think any one of us probably wouldn't hurt us to pull in and as they're going by, take a minute, and stop
Yeah.
the car and take a look.
Yeah, good idea.
That's all I got.
Okay, well, maybe I ought to, or somebody ought to look into if they are going to have games soon. I still go back to the thing, the governor says not more than 25 people to gather. I don't know how they can have a game and make it fun with 25 people or less. So maybe they shouldn't have games.
Does anybody know when the first game was they were planning on?
No.
No, but I think coming right up though, or at least the leagues are. I think that, there's so much conflicting information about it. I talked to somebody in the Agency of Commerce, and they said, no contact sports, but other sports, golfing, walking, horseback riding, tennis, those sort of things were fine. Even shooting hoops, as long as it was, not really physical contact, just sort of social distancing and
I think the games down there, I think they're encouraging things like that because they're not tackling each other.
right.
It's one at a time type of thing. So it's the matter probably of numbers and that they're adhering to that. What I can do as the EMD, I could reach out to Kathy Galuzzo and ask her, how are they? I just wanted to touch base with you.
Yeah.
Say to her, and what are you planning on doing to adhere to this? And I'm going to drop in down there and say hi.
Yeah, if you would.
Yeah, I'll do that.
That would be great.
Maybe we could encourage the rec department to put up signs that are reminding people to social distance and reminding people to wear masks and the whole nine.
Yeah, it's going to be a hard one down there because I have found, even in Royalton, the difference of people starting to come out in the summer and they're drinking, and they've got their mask down around their neck, and they're starting to lose control of what they think is.
Well, if they're drinking, that seems like it's maybe a different problem that should also be addressed separately.
Well, I've always thought that. I thought it put quite a bit of liability on the town of Tunbridge to allow, those bins down there are pretty full of beer cans. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to see what they're doing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, sounds like you got it under control and you have an action item now, so.
Yeah, and I'm not going to be totally accountable to everything that happens down there. I'm going to come back and report to you guys.
Sure.
I'll talk to Kathy and do my part, but I also think the select board has to, be in on this with me.
Well, let me know what's going on and I'll gladly cooperate.
Okay. Of course, Gary, you soft hands. You wait until that gets out. All right. Thanks, you guys.
All right,
And-
thank you.
Thanks,
you.
Brenda.
Take care.
Food too, I think, down there too.
What's that?
And they sell food too, and that probably is a whole nother. And now.
Yeah, they
ball
probably
game
should sell
for
food.
safety. No,
I don't think they're opening that up this year, John.
but I don't know.
Yeah, they may have adjusted. I'll touch base with Kathy in a very friendly way and go from there. I'll let you know what she says.
Okay, thanks, Brenda.
All right,
Okay.
take care.
See you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, what next, madam?
Oops. There's another thing.
No
Oh.
more visitors.
Victoria Paquin emailed asking you guys to reappoint Brenda Field as the representative to the South Royalton Rescue Squad Advisory Board. And it's on the agenda.
I make a motion that we appoint Brenda Fields as representative to the South Royalton Rescue Squad
Yeah, that's what
Advisory Committee.
SRS stands for, right?
I second that.
All right, all in favor of appointing Brenda, again, reappointing Brenda, say aye. Aye,
Aye.
Aye.
That's all. That's the rest of what I had.
all right. I got nothing.
I got
Jillian,
nothing.
you misspelled Gary's name in the minutes.
Ooh, that's a new one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. It's, you know, Gary, right when we got on the call, said that he didn't find any problems.
I don't care.
Well, he never writes his own name.
Hold on.
He doesn't type it anyway. He does his signature a lot.
Right.
I'm pulling it up. Where was it in the, like, inside the minutes or in the
Inside the minutes, yeah. It's,
Inside. Yeah.
where?
almost all the way down. I think it says MULLE.
Okay. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong date. Okay. Anything else?
I don't think so.
There it is. Okay. Great.
I make a motion we accept the minutes.
I second that.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Do we have to come down and sign anything this week, Jillian?
No, just
Just-
Gary, the orders
Okay.
and warrants. Yeah.
Okay, I have it on my action item list.
Okay.
What was the update on the COVIDizing of the town offices?
Mike has been working on the counters from home, and he put mine up. Last time I was in there, mine was up. Becky's was not quite up. The counter and everything's installed, and he actually, Mike, he left the door on mine at least to close it at night.
Oh, cool.
So we're really
Good.
just waiting on the glass, which Judy said should be ready by the end of this week, was the time estimate that they gave them. So tentatively, in the emergency management update today, I wrote that we would hopefully be opening to the public next week. But I can't say it for sure. And that's pretty much it. Everything else is, people are, you know, like we said, required to wear a mask, and only 2 people in the hallway at a time. If you want to go in the vault, you have to make an appointment. Or, you know, if I don't have anyone coming in, I don't have any appointments, and someone comes in the office and wants to know if they can come in the vault, I'm happy to just let them in on a per case basis.
Given that the TQ is coming up, do you guys have anything you want to add? Are you covering that, Jillian, in the town clerk?
Yeah, I'll
Yeah.
write about all of that in my entry. Yeah, that's tricky because I don't know what the status is going to be on the office as of June 15th. So it's going to be probably a lot of, not sure if any of this is going to be true when this comes out, but yeah.
What about Gary, Mike, anything we can talk about how we're trying to tighten the belt, the town office stuff?
That's the only
More-
thing I could say right now is we're looking at trying to tighten the belt.
Right. Maybe expecting a relapse of COVID in fall and to be prepared for that. I mean, if it was January right now, what would have we done differently?
Hmm.
Supplies. We definitely would have laid in some supplies.
Yeah, but that's our one of our plans to have all
Right.
that ready for the fall. So
Yeah.
Right.
even
We use carburetor cleaner for hand sanitizer at Fairmount Fix.
What do you use?
Carb clean. Spray it on your hand, takes your fingerprints off and everything.
Yeah.
Can you use rubbing alcohol?
The
too?
carcinogens, known carcinogens work to kill COVID.
Well, it's just you die of cancer instead of COVID.
That's right. Yeah. I'll get you some atrazine, Mike.
Okay.
atrazine mouthwash.
I remember I was pulling into work in January when I first heard on NPR that there was a pneumonia outbreak in China. That's what they were still calling it at that point.
Uh-oh, what's going on with the dog?
I don't know. He's looking at the woods and barking and not doing
Bears
anything real about it.
Bears going through.
Yeah.
Skunk and porcupine season, you guys. Watch out.
It could be a porcupine, actually. Yeah, he loves those.
It could be COVID in the woods.
Yeah, maybe. Oh, he just peed on the birdhouse.
Ah, there you
Okay.
go.
All right. Maybe we should adjourn.
All right.
Make a
Accept that.
motion that we adjourn.
Second?
Yes, I second that.
All right, all in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, good to see you folks.
Yeah. Take
Thank you.
care.
Take care.
You too.
Okay, bye.
Bye.